If you can't stop thinking about someone you were never actually with, pay attention. Nothing ever officially happened, but you can't let go. This has a name. It's called imaginary attachment. Before we continue, if you're here because you're tired of feeling stuck on someone who was never really yours, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We go deep into psychology and neuroscience here. Psychologically, imaginary attachment is when your brain bonds not with the reality of the person, but with the potential. You're not mourning a relationship, you're mourning a fantasy. And here's the part most people miss. Your brain doesn't know the difference. Neurologically, your dopamine system feeds this obsession. Every time you replay a conversation, every scenario you imagine, your brain releases dopamine. It's the same reward you'd get from actual connection. You're getting high on possibilities that never happened. The amygdala and hippocampus store emotional memories. They don't distinguish between real experiences and vividly imagined ones. If the emotional charge was strong enough, your brain files it the same way. That's why losing someone you were never with feels like a real breakup. To your nervous system, it is real. From a psychological standpoint, this happens when unmet needs get projected onto an idealized version of someone. You're not attached to who they are. You're attached to who you needed them to be. And because the relationship never formed, it never disappointed you. No arguments, no incompatibilities, no reality checks. Just pure potential. Real relationships have closure. They end for reasons you can understand. But when nothing ever began, there's no clean ending. Your brain keeps the door open because nothing was resolved. So you stay in limbo, replaying moments, searching for signs. Behaviorally, people with imaginary attachment overanalyze everything. A text message gets dissected for hidden meaning. A glance becomes evidence of mutual interest. They create narratives around breadcrumbs. And because the other person never explicitly rejected them, hope stays alive. Neurologically, this is intermittent reinforcement. When someone gives you just enough attention but not enough certainty, your brain treats it like a slot machine. You got a small reward once, so you keep pulling the lever. Your brain chases inconsistent rewards more intensely than predictable ones. There's also a control element. When you never actually had the relationship, you never dealt with another person's autonomy. In your mind, they can be exactly who you need. They never argue, never disappoint, never reveal flaws. You control the narrative completely. People with imaginary attachment often have anxious or avoidant attachment styles from childhood. If you grew up with inconsistent caregiving, your brain learned that love is uncertain. That same pattern shows up in adult relationships. You fixate on emotionally unavailable people because uncertainty feels familiar. Here's what most people ignore. Imaginary attachment isn't about the other person. It's about you. It's about what you're avoiding by staying stuck on someone who was never there. As long as you're pining for them, you don't have to risk real rejection. The fantasy is safer. Psychologically, this ties into limerence. Limerence is obsessive romantic attraction characterized by constant thoughts, fear of rejection, and physical symptoms. It's not love. Love requires reciprocity and reality. Limerence thrives on distance and uncertainty. From a behavioral economics perspective, this is a sunk cost fallacy. You've invested mental and emotional energy, so letting go feels like admitting it was for nothing. But the longer you hold on, the more you lose. Every day thinking about someone who isn't thinking about you is a day you're unavailable for someone who would choose you. Breaking free requires rewiring your dopamine pathways. Stop feeding the fantasy. No more checking their social media. No more replaying conversations. No more imagining scenarios. Every time you do those things, you reinforce the neural pathway keeping you stuck. You need to grieve what never was. You can't just get over it. You have to process the loss. What you're mourning isn't just the person. It's the version of yourself you thought you'd become if they had chosen you. You're mourning the future you built in your head. High-functioning people who overcome this don't shame themselves. They recognize it as a psychological pattern, not a character flaw. They get curious about what need this person represented. Validation? Adventure? Safety? Once they identify the need, they find healthier ways to meet it. They practice reality testing. They write down who the person actually is based on actions, not potential. They see the incompatibilities, the red flags, the ways this person showed unavailability. They stop romanticizing breadcrumbs and start valuing consistency. Another shift happens when you invest in your own life with the same intensity you invested in the fantasy. What would you do if this person didn't exist? What goals would you pursue? What relationships would you nurture? The more you build a life that excites you, the less mental space you have for them. From a neuroplasticity standpoint, your brain can change. The neural pathways keeping you thinking about this person can weaken through disuse. New pathways can strengthen through deliberate practice. Every time you redirect your thoughts, you're rewiring your brain. It gets easier with repetition. You need to examine your relationship with ambiguity. Why are you comfortable in the gray area? Why does uncertainty feel more tolerable than clarity? Often, it's because clarity means facing rejection. But staying in ambiguity is self-rejection. You're choosing limbo over something real. Closure and imaginary attachment isn't about getting an explanation from them. It's about giving yourself permission to close the door. You accept you'll never know what could have been. You stop waiting for signs. You decide that whether they think about you or not, you're done. That's closure. From a self-worth perspective, this pattern reveals a belief that you're not enough. If you were enough, you wouldn't need to convince someone to want you. You wouldn't overanalyze looking for proof of interest. You'd trust that the right person would choose you clearly. Create physical and digital distance. Unfollow them. Delete old messages. Stop going places you know they'll be. This isn't petty. It's protecting your mental health. Every exposure reactivates the attachment. You can't heal a wound you keep reopening. Sometimes imaginary attachment serves a function. It keeps you distracted from other pain. It gives you something to focus on that feels manageable. It creates a narrative where you're the protagonist, even if it's one-sided. Ask yourself, what am I avoiding by holding on? Healing requires self-compassion. You're not stupid for feeling this way. You're human. Your brain sought connection, created meaning, tried to protect you from rejection by keeping hope alive. Now redirect that energy toward people who show up and relationships that are reciprocal. There's no set timeline for how long this takes. Some people move on in weeks, others take years. It depends on how deeply the attachment formed and how willing you are to do the work. But the longer you wait for them to give you closure, the longer you stay stuck. Freedom looks like thinking about them occasionally, without it derailing your day. Seeing their name without adrenaline. Acknowledging you felt something without needing it to mean something. You stop checking if they're watching your stories. You stop crafting messages you'll never send. Psychologically, the brain creates attachment through repeated exposure and emotional significance. When you spend hours thinking about someone, your neural networks treat that mental time as real interaction. Mirror neurons fire as if you're actually with them. Your brain simulates the relationship in your mind. This is why daydreaming about someone feels so consuming. Neurologically, your prefrontal cortex is running simulations. It's trying to predict outcomes, plan conversations, prepare for scenarios. This mental rehearsal creates a sense of intimacy that doesn't exist in reality. From a developmental psychology perspective, imaginary attachment often starts in adolescence. Teenagers develop intense crushes on people they barely know because their brains are wired for exploration and risk. But when this pattern continues into adulthood, it becomes maladaptive. Adults with imaginary attachment often had caregivers who were physically present, but emotionally absent. They learned to create rich inner worlds to compensate for lack of real connection. They got good at filling in the gaps, at making something out of nothing. That skill becomes a trap. Behaviorally, these people often prefer the idea of a relationship over the reality. Actual relationships require compromise, vulnerability, showing your flaws. Fantasy relationships don't. You can be perfect in your imagination. The other person can be perfect too. Reality can't compete with that. Here's what neuroscience tells us about why this is so hard to break. Your brain has dedicated neural real estate to this person. Synaptic connections have formed through repetition. Breaking the attachment means pruning those connections, which your brain resists. It's invested resources there. Dopamine also creates anticipation, not just reward. Every time you think maybe they'll reach out, maybe you'll run into them, your brain releases dopamine in anticipation. This keeps you hooked even when nothing happens. The possibility itself becomes addictive. From a cognitive behavioral perspective, imaginary attachment involves distorted thinking patterns. You catastrophize about being alone forever. You personalize their lack of interest as proof you're unlovable. You engage in emotional reasoning, believing that because you feel strongly, it must mean something significant. These cognitive distortions need to be challenged systematically. When you catch yourself thinking they're the only one who could make you happy, you counter it with evidence. You list other people who brought you joy. You remind yourself of times you felt fulfilled alone. Psychologically, there's also a fear of missing out component. What if you move on, and then they finally want you? What if you're giving up right before the breakthrough? This scarcity mindset keeps you hanging on. But the truth is, someone who wants you doesn't make you wait in uncertainty. Neurologically, uncertainty activates your brain's threat detection system. Your amygdala registers ambiguity as danger. So you compulsively check for updates, for clarity, for resolution. This is your nervous system trying to restore a sense of safety. But the checking itself perpetuates the anxiety. From an evolutionary psychology standpoint, humans are wired to pursue mates who seem valuable but slightly out of reach. This triggers competitive instincts. But in modern dating, this wiring gets hijacked. People who are consistently unavailable aren't playing hard to get. They're just not interested. High-status individuals in any field, whether business, relationships, or personal development, have one thing in common. They don't chase uncertainty. They move toward clarity. If someone's interest is ambiguous, they don't waste time decoding it. They move on to people who are clear. This doesn't mean they're cold or unfeeling. It means they value their energy. They recognize that attention is a finite resource. Spending it on someone who isn't reciprocating is a poor investment. They'd rather invest in themselves or in mutual connections. Behaviorally, breaking imaginary attachment requires replacing the obsessive thoughts with other activities. Your brain needs something else to focus on. This can't be passive distraction like scrolling social media. It needs to be active engagement, learning a skill, building something, helping others. From a neurochemistry perspective, activities that produce dopamine naturally will help reset your reward system. Exercise, creative work, meaningful conversations, achieving small goals. These give your brain the dopamine it's been getting from fantasy, but in healthier ways. Psychologically, you also need to examine your attachment to suffering. Some people hold on to pain because it feels noble, romantic, or familiar. They've built an identity around being the person who loves deeply, who feels intensely. Letting go means redefining who they are. This identity shift is crucial. You're not the person who can't move on. You're the person who felt something, learned from it, and chose growth. You're not a victim of your feelings. You're someone actively creating the life you want. From a social psychology perspective, talking about this attachment keeps it alive. Every time you rehash the story with friends, you're reinforcing the neural pathways. You're getting secondary dopamine from the attention and sympathy. At some point, you need to stop telling the story. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means processing them privately or with a therapist, then moving forward. There's a difference between processing and ruminating. Processing leads to insight. Ruminating keeps you stuck in the same loop. Neurologically, the brain forms habits through repetition. If thinking about this person has become a habit, you need to interrupt the pattern. When the thought comes, notice it without judgment, then deliberately redirect. Over time, the automatic thought weakens. From a mindfulness perspective, observing your thoughts without engaging them is powerful. You can acknowledge I'm thinking about them again without spiraling into fantasy or analysis. You note the thought and let it pass like a cloud. This creates distance between you and the obsession. Psychologically, forgiveness plays a role here too. Not forgiving them necessarily, but forgiving yourself. For misreading signals, for investing energy unwisely, for staying stuck longer than you wanted. Self-forgiveness releases shame, which is often what keeps people trapped. Shame tells you there's something wrong with you for feeling this way. But there isn't. Your brain did what brains do. It sought connection, found patterns, created meaning. That's normal. What matters now is what you do with this awareness. From a decision-making perspective, you need to make a clean break decision. Not maybe, not someday, not when I feel ready. Now. Decide that you're done entertaining this fantasy. Make it non-negotiable. Your brain needs that clarity to begin rewiring. Behaviorally, this might mean writing a letter you never send, saying everything you needed to say, then burning it or deleting it. This gives you a ritual of closure. Rituals matter because they signal to your subconscious that something has ended. From a neuroscience standpoint, sleep helps consolidate new patterns. After a day of deliberately not engaging with thoughts of this person, sleep helps your brain prune the old pathways and strengthen the new ones. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. Psychologically, you might experience withdrawal symptoms, anxiety, restlessness, sadness, even physical discomfort. This is your nervous system adjusting to the absence of the dopamine hits it got from fantasy. It's temporary. Your brain is recalibrating. From a resilience perspective, this experience can actually strengthen you. Learning to let go of something that never was builds emotional maturity. It teaches you to distinguish between fantasy and reality. It shows you that you can survive disappointment. High achievers in relationships aren't people who never get attached. They're people who know when to walk away. They recognize incompatibility early. They don't try to force connection where there isn't mutual interest. They trust that the right match won't require convincing. This mindset shift changes everything. Instead of asking, "Why don't they want me?" you ask, "Do I want someone who doesn't want me?" Instead of "What's wrong with me?" you ask, "What am I looking for in a partner, and does this situation provide it?" From a practical standpoint, make a list of what you actually want in a relationship. Consistency, communication, shared values, mutual effort. Then honestly assess whether this person, based on their actual behavior, meets any of those criteria. Usually, they don't. Psychologically, this reality check can be painful but liberating. It breaks the spell. You see that you've been chasing someone who isn't giving you what you need. And more importantly, you see that you deserve better than breadcrumbs and ambiguity. Neurologically, gratitude practices can help shift your focus. Every day, write down 3 things you're grateful for that have nothing to do with this person. This trains your brain to find dopamine sources elsewhere. It broadens your attention beyond the obsession. From a future orientation perspective, imagine yourself 1 year from now. Do you want to still be thinking about this person? Or do you want to have moved on, built new connections, created new experiences? That future version of you is counting on present you to make the hard choice. Behaviorally, accountability helps. Tell someone you trust that you're letting go. Ask them to check in with you. Knowing someone else is aware of your intention creates external motivation when internal motivation wavers. From a self-concept perspective, who are you without this attachment? What do you like to do? What brings you joy? What are your goals? Reconnect with those parts of yourself. They've been overshadowed by the obsession, but they're still there. Psychologically, boredom is often a trigger for returning to fantasy. When you have empty time, your brain fills it with familiar thoughts. So structure your time. Plan activities, commit to projects, fill your schedule with things that matter. From a neuroplasticity angle, learning something new creates new neural pathways. Take a class, learn a language, pick up an instrument. This gives your brain something to work on besides the person you're trying to forget. Behaviorally, change your environment if possible. If certain places remind you of them, go somewhere new. New environments signal to your brain that you're in a different chapter. They disrupt old patterns. From a relationship science perspective, healthy attachment forms through consistent positive interactions over time. If those interactions never happened, the attachment is based on projection, not reality. Acknowledging this helps you separate your feelings from the actual person. Psychologically, you might idealize them more after deciding to let go. Your brain will try to convince you they were perfect, that you're making a mistake. This is resistance. It's normal. Don't believe every thought your brain produces. From a values perspective, what do you value more? Short-term comfort of familiar fantasy, or long-term freedom and availability for real love? Your actions need to align with your values. If you value growth, you have to let go. Neurologically, every time you successfully redirect your thoughts, you're strengthening executive function. You're proving to yourself that you can control your attention. This skill transfers to other areas of life. It builds mental discipline. From a timeline perspective, healing isn't linear. You'll have good days and hard days. You might think you're over it, then something triggers you. That's normal. Progress isn't perfection. It's trending in the right direction over time. Psychologically, celebrate small wins. You went a whole day without checking their profile. You thought about them but didn't spiral. You felt sad but didn't reach out. These are victories. Acknowledge them. From a support system perspective, surround yourself with people who remind you of your worth, people who've seen you at your best, people who believe in you. Their perspective can counter the negative self-talk that imaginary attachment creates. Behaviorally, helping others gets you out of your own head. Volunteer, mentor, support a friend. When you're focused on contributing, you're not focused on what you're lacking. This shift in perspective is powerful. From a meaning-making perspective, what did this experience teach you? About yourself, about what you want, about your patterns? Every difficult experience contains lessons. Extract them. Use them to make better choices going forward. Psychologically, at some point you'll realize you haven't thought about them in days, then weeks. Then you'll struggle to remember exactly what it felt like to be consumed by them. That's when you know you're free. From a comparison perspective, think about how you treat actual friends versus this fantasy. You wouldn't accept a friend who only texts you sporadically, who never makes plans, who keeps you guessing about their interest. You'd call that a bad friend. So why accept it from someone you want romantically? Psychologically, double standards reveal what you truly believe about your worth. You demand better from friendships but accept scraps from romantic interests. That disparity shows where your self-esteem is weakest. Addressing that is part of the healing. Neurologically, social rejection activates the same brain regions as physical pain. The anterior cingulate cortex and insula light up. Your brain literally processes emotional pain as physical hurt. So when you feel heartbroken over someone you were never with, that pain is real. Don't minimize it. But here's the key distinction. Acute pain from a real breakup eventually heals because the wound is clean. Imaginary attachment is like picking at a scab. You keep the wound open by continuing to engage mentally. The pain persists not because it's deeper, but because you won't let it close. From a gender dynamics perspective, this pattern affects everyone, but manifests differently. Women often internalize it as something wrong with them. Men often externalize it as the other person playing games. Both are ways of avoiding the simple truth that incompatibility or disinterest isn't personal. Psychologically, rejection isn't a statement about your value. It's a statement about fit. Not every person is supposed to want you. Not every person is supposed to be in your life. Accepting this reduces the desperation to make it work with someone who isn't choosing you. From a scarcity mindset perspective, imaginary attachment thrives on the belief that options are limited. You hold on because you think you won't find anyone else who makes you feel this way. But feelings aren't facts, and intensity doesn't equal compatibility. Behaviorally, people in abundance mindset date differently. They don't put all their emotional eggs in one basket. They explore multiple connections simultaneously, not to play games, but to avoid overinvesting before reciprocity is established. This protects their nervous system. From a boundary perspective, imaginary attachment often indicates weak boundaries. You allow yourself to obsess over someone who hasn't earned that space in your mind. You give them access to your emotional state without their consent or participation. That's not intimacy, that's fantasy. Psychologically, strong boundaries mean you gatekeep your mental and emotional energy. Someone has to demonstrate consistent interest, respect, and effort to get deeper access. Breadcrumbs don't qualify. Ambiguity doesn't qualify. Potential definitely doesn't qualify. Neurologically, the brain's default mode network activates during rest and mind wandering. If you're not careful, this network defaults to thinking about the person you're attached to. You need to train it to default somewhere else. Meditation helps by giving you control over where your mind goes when it wanders. From a productivity perspective, imaginary attachment is a time thief. Hours spent analyzing texts, checking social media, crafting perfect responses to conversations that will never happen. That's time you could spend building skills, relationships, or businesses. The opportunity cost is massive. High performers don't have time for ambiguity. They make quick decisions about whether something is worth pursuing. If the answer isn't a clear yes based on behavior, it's a no. They don't deliberate endlessly over maybes. This decisiveness extends to all areas of life. From a pattern recognition perspective, if this isn't your first imaginary attachment, you have a pattern. That pattern needs to be addressed at the root. Usually it traces back to childhood, to modeling you observed, to beliefs you formed about love and worthiness. Psychologically, patterns persist because they're familiar. Your nervous system prefers familiar pain over unfamiliar peace. Changing the pattern requires making peace feel safer than pain. This happens through repeated exposure to healthy relationship dynamics, even if just with friends or family. From a financial analogy perspective, imaginary attachment is like investing in a company with no assets, no revenue, and no business plan. You're betting on a fantasy of future returns. Smart investors don't do that. They invest based on current performance and realistic projections. Apply the same logic to relationships. What has this person actually demonstrated? What evidence exists of their interest, their character, their compatibility with you? If the evidence is thin, the investment is foolish. Cut your losses and reallocate your resources. Neurologically, loss aversion makes this hard. Your brain hates giving up on something it's invested in, even when continuing costs more than quitting. This is why you need external perspective. Talk to someone who can see clearly what you can't. From a digital age perspective, social media makes imaginary attachment worse. You have constant access to updates about their life. You can see who they're following, what they're liking, where they're going. This illusion of connection feeds the fantasy. Psychologically, this surveillance behavior is compulsive. You know it makes you feel worse, but you can't stop. The solution is removing the option entirely. Block, unfollow, mute. If you can't trust yourself not to check, eliminate the ability to check. From a comparison trap perspective, seeing them seemingly happy without you triggers inadequacy. You assume they're better off, that you weren't good enough. But you're seeing a curated highlight reel. You don't know what's really happening in their life or their head. Behaviorally, stop comparing your behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. This applies to this person and to everyone. Social media is a distorted mirror. It doesn't reflect reality. Build your life based on your values, not on what looks good online. From a compatibility perspective, real connection isn't hard. It doesn't require decoding, overthinking, or convincing. When two people genuinely like each other, they make it easy. They're clear about their interest. They follow through on plans. They communicate openly. Psychologically, if you're doing mental gymnastics to justify someone's behavior, that's a red flag. If you're making excuses for why they're not reaching out, not committing, not showing up, you're in denial. Compatibility is simple. Confusion is a no. Neurologically, your gut feeling usually knows before your conscious mind admits it. That uneasy feeling when you're hoping for a text that doesn't come, that's your intuition telling you this isn't right. Listen to it instead of overriding it with hope. From a self-betrayal perspective, staying in imaginary attachment means repeatedly choosing someone else over yourself. Every time you check their social media, you're saying their life is more important than yours. Every time you imagine scenarios with them, you're saying fantasy is more important than reality. Psychologically, this self-abandonment creates resentment, not just toward them, but toward yourself. You know you deserve better, but you're not acting like it. That cognitive dissonance eats at you. Aligning your actions with your self-respect ends the dissonance. From a role model perspective, would you want someone you care about to accept this treatment? Would you want your future child, your sibling, your best friend to pine over someone who doesn't reciprocate? Of course not. So why is it acceptable for you? Behaviorally, treat yourself the way you'd treat someone you love. With compassion, yes, but also with honest feedback. A good friend would tell you to move on. Be that friend to yourself. From a growth mindset perspective, this experience is data. It tells you what you're vulnerable to, what patterns you need to break, what work you need to do. Use it. Don't waste it by staying stuck in victim mode or romantic martyrdom. Psychologically, growth happens when you take responsibility for your part. Not responsibility for their disinterest, that's on them, but responsibility for how long you stayed, how much you invested, how you'll do it differently next time. That's empowerment. Neurologically, the brain needs new experiences to form new patterns. If you keep doing the same things, thinking the same thoughts, going to the same places, nothing changes. Novelty signals to your brain that you're in a new phase. Seek it deliberately. From a seasonal perspective, some people use time markers to create closure. New year, birthday, start of a new season. Decide that this marks the end of the imaginary attachment chapter. Make it symbolic if that helps. Symbolism matters to the subconscious. Psychologically, you might grieve harder after deciding to let go than you did while holding on. This is normal. You're finally allowing yourself to feel the loss fully instead of keeping hope alive to avoid the pain. Let yourself grieve. It's part of healing. From a reframe perspective, instead of "I lost them," think "I freed myself." Instead of "they didn't choose me," think "I'm now available for someone who will." Language shapes emotion. Choose empowering language. Behaviorally, notice when you're about to engage in attachment behaviors and choose differently. About to check their profile? Go for a walk instead. About to replay a conversation? Call a friend instead. Each time you choose differently, you weaken the old pattern. From a visualization perspective, imagine your ideal relationship. Not with this person, but in general. What does it look like? How does it feel? What qualities does the other person have? Get clear on what you actually want, then assess whether this situation provides any of it. Psychologically, clarity about what you want makes it easier to recognize what you don't. If you want someone who communicates openly and this person is vague, that's a mismatch. If you want someone who makes time for you and this person is always busy, that's a mismatch. Stop trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. From a biochemistry perspective, your body produces oxytocin through physical touch and bonding experiences. If you've never actually spent significant time with this person, your oxytocin levels aren't bonding you to them. It's all dopamine and cortisol. That's not love. That's stress and anticipation. Neurologically, love and obsession activate different brain regions. Love involves areas related to attachment and caregiving. Obsession involves areas related to reward-seeking and compulsion. Know the difference. What you're experiencing is likely obsession, not love. From a philosophical perspective, you can't love someone you don't really know. You can love the idea of them. You can love how they make you feel in the moments you interact. But love requires knowing someone's flaws, their patterns, their values. You don't have that information. Psychologically, infatuation and love are different. Infatuation is intense, consuming, based on idealization. Love is calm, stable, based on reality. Infatuation feels like drowning. Love feels like breathing. You're drowning. You need air. From a practical steps perspective, here's what to do today. Delete their number if you haven't already. Unfollow on all platforms. Tell one person you're letting go. Do one thing that invests in your own life. Make it concrete, not just mental. Behaviorally, action creates emotional change faster than waiting for emotional change to inspire action. You don't wait until you feel ready to let go. You act like someone who's let go, and the feelings follow. Fake it till you make it actually works for this. From a relapse prevention perspective, you'll be tempted to reach out. Especially late at night, when you're lonely, when you see something that reminds you of them. Prepare for these moments. Have a list of people you can text instead. Have activities you can do to redirect. Psychologically, urges are temporary. They peak and then pass. If you can ride out the urge without acting on it, it will subside. This is true for substance addiction and behavioral addiction alike. Imaginary attachment is a behavioral addiction. Neurologically, urge surfing works by allowing the craving to exist without responding to it. You observe it like a wave. It rises, peaks, crashes. You don't try to stop it. You don't give in to it. You just notice it until it passes. This builds distress tolerance. From a long-term perspective, 6 months from now, you'll barely remember why this felt so consuming. You'll look back and see it clearly for what it was. A distraction, a lesson, a phase. The pain you feel now is temporary. The growth you gain is permanent. Psychologically, future you will be grateful that present you made the hard choice. Every day you wait is another day future you has to recover from. Start now, not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Now. If someone came to mind while watching this, that's your sign. Don't ignore it. But don't stay stuck either. Share this video with someone who needs it. Leave a comment about what's helping you let go. And subscribe if you haven't already, because we go deep into psychology, attachment, and behavior every week. Your brain is wired for real connection. Make sure you're available for it.